Hello everyone and welcome back to Coach Craig's Sports. Today is Tuesday, so this is going to be the waiver wire video for week 15. Pretty much everywhere this is going to be your first week of the playoffs. Some leagues it might be the second week, but if you made it this far, congratulations on making the playoffs. I'm going to go over some players that could potentially help you this week and maybe a little bit in the future as well. But once again, this week I am not going over fab percentages since everybody's budgets are going to be a little bit different at this point in time. Your roster needs are going to be a little bit different as well. So I'm just going to go over the players that I do have listed here. If there's any players at all that are not in my video you have a question about, be sure to leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. But we're going to start off with the quarterback position. We're going to start off with Tua. So he had a bye week in week 14, obviously. Roster in 38% of ESPN leagues, 34% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty decent chance that he's still out there. Goes against the New York Jets in week 15. A very favorable matchup. And at the same time, the Dolphins' three main running backs are on the COVID list at this point in time. So they could have a chance to play this week. Maybe they play, maybe they don't play. If they're not out there, they're probably going to have to throw the ball just a little bit more because you're looking at Duke Johnson and Patrick Laird, and you're not really going to pound the ball with those two guys. They're more pass-catching backs anyways, so it could be a favorable game script for two of them just based on the construct of his team at this point in time. So definitely worth a pickup if you need a streamable quarterback this week. Then next up, we got Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's been on this list a couple different weeks. His schedule is a cakewalk, so he's probably going to be on here for the rest of the year unless he goes up over 50%, which I don't see happening anytime soon. 27 out of 41 this past week, 296 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Also had 3 yards rushing, but you don't really expect too much out of Jimmy G rushing. So you have 24.14 points in week 14. That is in 6 point per passing touchdown leagues. Obviously, if it's in 4 points, you just take 4 more points off that total. But he's been pretty consistent throughout the year, has that easy schedule as I already mentioned. Roster in about 14% ESPN leagues, 30% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's out there. Goes against the Atlanta Falcons in week 15, which obviously is one of the better matchups to have if you are a quarterback in fantasy. So Jimmy G, definitely worth a pickup, definitely worth streaming this week if you need a quarterback. Then last but not least, we got Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben himself, and he put on a little bit of a show in that second half on Thursday Night Football. Unfortunately, his offensive line's kind of terrible and can't block for him half the time, so it really limits what's he able to do at points in time. But he was 28 out of 40, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, had that 1 scramble for 5 yards as well. He finished with 30.82 points in week 14. He's actually been very useful for fantasy 3 out of the past 4 weeks, so definitely a streamable quarterback this week. Roster in 18% of ESPN leagues, 22% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's out there. And he goes against the Tennessee Titans, which is a very favorable matchup as well. Moving over to the running backs, we got to talk about Rashaad Penny. This is not a guy I like. It's not a guy that I want to talk about at all. Like, yeah, he had a good game, but it was against my Houston Texans, and our defense isn't the best. He had a couple long runs, ended up in touchdowns. So he played 57% of snaps, 16 carries, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 target, 1 reception, 1 yard, 26.8 points in week 14. Rostered 9% of ESPN leagues, 23% Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's actually out there. Goes against the Rams in week 15, but we did just see them shut down the run for the most part against the Cardinals last night. I know James Conner did end up getting 2 touchdowns, but you can't really say too much otherwise. And Rashaad Penny is not James Conner. I know everybody want to trash James Conner coming into the year, but he's actually been a pretty good running back overall. And Rashaad Penny, there's a lot of question marks here with him. Injury history, whether or not they get Alex Collins more involved, whether or not Adrian Peterson's back next week. So he's a guy that I want to pick up, not a guy that I personally want to play right away next week, though. Then we'll switch over to the handcuff running back. So this list changed a little bit from last week, but I got DeVante Parker, roster in 26% of ESPN leagues, 24% of Yahoo leagues. Decent chance that he's out there if something happens to Saquon Barkley. Not going to be pretty, and you want to have DeVante Parker on your team. And he actually put up a pretty solid week last week as well. Khalil Herbert, he lost a little bit of his touches with Damian Williams returning, but I think if David Montgomery, God forbid, would go down, Khalil Herbert would be the main guy. He's 18% roster on ESPN, 20% on Yahoo. Then we got Samaje Perine. Actually, he saw an uptick in snaps this past week, but Joe Mixon had been dealing with an illness throughout the week. He's rostering 10% of ESPN leagues, 18% of Yahoo leagues. Decent chance that he's out there, and if you're that Joe Mixon owner, probably worth a pickup. Then with Kareem Hunt going down with his ankle injury, I'm put Dearness Johnson on this list as well. 22% roster on ESPN, which is a lot higher than I expected it to be. And then 13% on Yahoo. So it seems like a lot of people were actually holding on to him. But if something happens to Nick Chubb once again, or God forbid he gets in COVID protocol or something like that, and Kareem Hunt can't go, Dearness Johnson is going to be a very valuable handcuff to have at that point in time. And then the last one that I do have listed here is Kenny Nwangu, who is 1% roster on both ESPN and Yahoo. Alexander Madison is in the COVID protocol. He is unvaccinated, so he's going to miss at least this week's game. God forbid if something happens to Dalvin Cook or he gets put in as a close contact or anything like that, Kenny Nwangu could have some value. So just maybe a guy to stash on your bench, especially if you have Dalvin Cook at this point in time. Then we move over to the wide receiver position, and there's a lot of names here. So I'm going to start off with DeVante Parker. He had a bye week in week 14, 50% rostered on ESPN, 46 on Yahoo. Goes against the Jets in week 15. Should be a favorable matchup for him overall. And like I mentioned, these running backs, they're all on the COVID list at this point in time. If they're all out, you got to throw the ball, and DeVante Parker should be a beneficiary of that as well. Then we move over to the opposite side of the game. We got Jamison Crowder. He played on 91% of snaps this past week, 6 targets, 3 receptions, 19 yards. Not the greatest stat line there overall, 4.9 points in week 14. Not quite what you're looking for, but he's rostered in 34% of ESPN leagues, 37% of Yahoo leagues. Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, they're both on IR, so they're not coming back this week or the next week. So Jamison Crowder, that main pass catcher for the Jets at this point in time. Goes against the Dolphins week 15. We already seen him put up over 16 fantasy points in PPR against them the last time out, and they have typically struggled against the slot wide receivers. And guess what? Jamison Crowder, he almost always lines up in that slot position. So could be another good game for him as well this week. And then KJ Osborn makes the list once again. If Adam Thielen's not back this week, KJ Osborn is definitely worth a pickup. Played 86% of snaps this past week, 9 targets, only 3 receptions though, but had 83 yards and a touchdown, 17.3 points in week 14, rostered in 27% of ESPN leagues, 38% of Yahoo leagues. Decent chance that he's still out there, so definitely worth a pickup, stash him, see if Adam Thielen ends up playing or not, or at least see the direction that he's trending throughout the week, since this is a Monday Night Football game. And with that being said, they do play the Bears in that Monday Night Football game. Should be a little bit favorable matchup too, as well as you kind of expect Jalen Johnson to be on Justin Jefferson more times than not. Then Amon-Ra St. Brown makes the list again. He played 75% of snaps this past week against the Denver Broncos, had 12 targets once again, 8 receptions, 73 yards. 15.3 points in week 14, looking like a pretty solid wide receiver 3 or a flex play, especially in PPR settings. He is rostered in only 11% of ESPN leagues, 12% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's out there at this point in time. Goes against the Arizona Cardinals in week 15. Not the easiest matchup in the world since Byron Murphy typically does line up in the slot, but they've been using Amon-Ra St. Brown a little bit more on the outside as well in recent weeks. So I don't really have too many concerns there. Leading the team in snaps, leading the team in targets over the last couple of weeks. So definitely interested in Amon-Ra St. Brown once again this week. Then last but not least, in terms of wide receivers at least, we got Gabriel Davis. He played 83% of snaps this past week. Emmanuel Sanders did lead that game. Sounds like he's not going to play this week either. So Gabriel Davis going to be in that starting lineup, going to have an uptick in snaps. Going to see some more production this week. He had 8 targets, 5 receptions, 43 yards and a touchdown. He's definitely a threat to score a touchdown on any given week. 15.3 points in week 14. Rostered in 3% at both ESPN and Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's out there. Goes against the Carolina Panthers defense. It's not the most favorable matchup in the world by any means, but definitely if he's out there on the field seeing some production, definitely a guy that could help you out in fantasy overall this week. Then moving over to tight ends, I just got one this week, and it's Gerald Everett. Yeah, you could throw in a couple other different guys here, like an Austin Hooper, if some of the guys behind him are not available. Ricky Seals-Jones, if he's looking more healthy, more active this week against the Philadelphia Eagles. Definitely a great matchup there overall. But Gerald Everett's the one that really made the cut for me. 62% of snaps against my Houston Texans this past week. He had 2 targets, 2 receptions, 15 yards, and a touchdown. 1 carry for 13 yards as well. He got 10.8 points in week 14, rostered in 14% of ESPN leagues, 31% of Yahoo leagues. Pretty good chance that he's still out there. Goes against his former team. Hello, revenge game against the Los Angeles Rams in week 15. And the Rams typically haven't been that great against tight ends so far this season. They did shut down Zach Ertz a little bit last night, but he still had an okay day. If he gets that into the end zone on that touchdown, definitely would have been a great day for him overall. But with that being said, Gerald Everett is a tight end that we're streaming once again this week. Then last but not least, we get over to the defenses to consider for this week. So I do have the Miami Dolphins going against that New York Jets team. They're rostered in 44% of ESPN leagues, 50% of Yahoo leagues. So kind of a coin flip whether or not they're out there or not. They should not be out there at this point in time the way they've been playing. But hey, if they're out there in your league, might as well go out and grab them. And it's a great matchup this week. Then we got the Philadelphia Eagles going against the Washington football team. Football team's a little bit banged up at this point in time. Taylor Heineke banged up. Sounds like he should play. But hey, if Kyle Allen's in there, more power to this Philadelphia Eagles defense. And then we got Terry McLaurin dealing with a concussion, their main playmaker on offense. If he's not out there, this could be a very, very good game for the Eagles defense overall. Rostered in 27% of ESPN leagues, 20% Yahoo leagues, so pretty good chance that they're actually out there as well. Then last but not least, I'm going with the homer pick, the Houston Texans here, going against the Jacksonville Jaguars, the dumpster fire that is the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point in time. Hey, maybe they fire Urban Meyer this week and it looks a little bit better, but Texans defense, they get sacks, they're opportunistic. They had 3 picks off of Trevor Lawrence in the first game of the season, so definitely could do a lot worse this week. Roster in 11% of ESPN leagues, 5% of Yahoo leagues, so decent chance that they're out there, and a streamable defense once again this week. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on my waiver wire targets for this week. As I already mentioned, if you guys have any questions regarding waivers for this week, be sure to leave them down in the comments. I'll get back to you guys as quickly as possible. If there's anybody else that's available that you think's worth picking up on your league that I did not mention here as well, you got a question about, be sure to leave that down in the comments as well. But with that being said, if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your fantasy football teams, helping you with DFS, whether it's NFL or NBA. And then with that being said, if you are new or current subscribers yet to do so, also hit that notification bell down below. It's going to let you know every single time I post up a new video. And like I've been saying, I typically post up 4 to 5 days of fantasy football or NFL DFS content, as well as daily NBA DFS videos. So if you're into any of that, which I'm guessing you're at least into the fantasy football side since you're watching this video, definitely be sure that you are subscribed and have those notifications turned on so you never miss a beat. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And then last but not least, special shout out to each and every one of you watching today's video. I truly do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. Definitely means a lot to me, and I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.